There's a variety of ways that they can be paid. Most of the time with our deals, we tell our investors in the operating agreement that we plan on paying them at least once a year, but the goal is to pay them quarterly. So as long as the property is performing the way that it's supposed to perform, and we have enough reserves set aside so that we don't get caught with our pants down in case there's some major expense that comes up that we weren't prepared for, which does happen, we then send out a quarterly payment to our investors. And matter of fact, we don't even actually send it ourselves. What we do is we send a spreadsheet to our property management company, because our property management company pays all of our bills. And in that spreadsheet, it says, pay John Smith this amount, pay Sally Jones this amount, and it goes through every single investor, and then they just print out the checks and send them out. That's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it, depending on the deal, is I have a student in Southern California whose name is Frank. Frank works with a lot of people who have IRA money. And because they're using IRA money, they can't really use that money anyway. So they don't really care if they get a whole lot of cash flow. Well, he brings in his investors strictly as debt partners. So they don't even get an equity stake in the property. They just get debt, but he also sets it up in such a way, because they don't need the money on a quarterly basis or even an annual basis, he just sets it up that he will repay them what they invested plus X percent of dollars. So I think he's paying them 5 or 6 or 7% interest, but he collects that over a 3 to 5 year period, because between 3 and 5 years after they purchase the property, they plan on either selling it or refinancing it. And through the sale or the refinance is where the money comes back in to pay off the investment partners plus their stockpiled interest payments for the 3 to 5 year period. Back on Dave's deal and most of the deals that we do, you're asking about how they get paid. Number one, most of the time they do get paid a percentage of the cash flow. So as the cash flow comes in on a quarterly basis, we send out distribution checks. The other way that they get paid is they also participate in our deals. Not like in Frank's deal, they're just straight debt partners like a bank. You just pay them off and they're done and they go away. We bring in what are called equity partners. So our equity partners not only get the cash flow from how well the property is performing, but when the property is either sold or refinanced in the future, they also get a percentage of that. So we might have investors that are getting anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12% cash on cash return, but by the end of the transaction, somewhere in the actually more like 5 to 10 year period of time frame, they're also going to get a big chunk of equity, assuming that we don't do a 1031 exchange into another property, and they may end up with an extra 15 or 20% per year return because of all the equity that's built up in the property too.